Welcome, everybody, to Town Hall Meeting number 94. It's April 23rd, 2024. And today we're joined by Guillermo, Judith, Soundwaves, Boas, Clement, Colleen, Grace, Ian, Photo-G, Fanny, Walter, and William. Great to see you all here. Thanks a bunch for being here. As you can see on screen, a relatively concise agenda today. We start off with a couple of mentions, and then we have Guillermo on the LATEM Ambassador Guild, and we'll have Esther joining in on the Global Ethics Initiative, and to give an update on that. After that, there's room for open topics. Then a quick reminder on what the Ambassador Program even is and what we're doing. We're basically a community of people all caring about the SingularityNet mission and vision and wanting to contribute to that. We have a whole range of self-organizing work groups, which are very open to join. If you're interested to help out and join in on the fun, do hop onto our Discord server. There's a Getting Started channel, which will get you started. Then some mentions. Starting off with a moderator workgroup proposal. It's a very much initial proposal, shared about an hour ago-ish in the Ambassador General channel. Do take a look at it if you're interested. Yeah, feel free to put comments on it. Then quick call out on the Deep Funding Town Hall this Thursday at 19 UTC. Let me quickly double check if that's still accurate. No, it's 18 now. Shit. 18 UTC. Nice. And if I'm correct, this week, Raphael will go over the process of submitting a proposal step by step. Yeah, then a quick reminder on the deadline for workgroup budgets for Q2. That's tomorrow, end of day UTC. So yeah, there still is some time remaining to do that, but yeah, please do submit your budgets. Then seeing we've got a governance decision coming up on these budgets, there's an update to the core contributor list. Basically, it's just a rerun of the database of all the contributions over the past 6 months. That's in Ambassador General channel as well. And it's open to manual nominations, so it can be self-nomination too. If you feel like you should be on the list, but you're not based on the contribution output, you can nominate yourself. It's as simple as that. And then a reminder that the decentralization blueprint is still open for comments. I'll put the link in a second in the chat to the blueprint. Then that brings us to the first agenda item, being the LATAM Ambassador Guild proposal. We've got Guillermo in the house. Who can share a bit more on that? I think you did have some slides.
I think it's proper. We can share screen. Hi everyone, nice to see you again. Grace, great to have you here. Panama, we have to go back on time, Peter. So in Panama, we have not only Peter, but we have a lot of time to discuss ideas and to visualize intent, to visualize the future and plan ahead and understand what will be the challenge in the next steps, scaling the community and again, sharing the vision and mission of the SingularityNet. That's why we are all here. Discussing with Esther, Jan, so the deep funding, again, timeline, the ambassador's objective and understanding now more, a little bit more, not everything, but a little bit more of why we're here. We start discussing the idea of this. So should we more specific? So the LATAM Ambassador Guild, it will be the result of an idea that it comes from a need. So we titled this the regional expansion of the Singularity Ambassador. That would be kind of the proper way to put it. It will be a bubble and then inner bubbles, okay? So we have ambassadors. And for the organic or natural path for this, we have different ways to approach SingularityNet or ways to present this or ambition this idea. So the first, when we started discussing this, I share this with Peter, and I say, okay, man, I need you to help me to bring this to life. How we do this? How would be the proper way to present it, to create it? What do we have that we can need? What is that we don't? So we discussed for an hour or so online, and we came up with so I took notes of a lot of things that all the learnings from Peter did in the community, and I came up with some, again, first a draft, and then I kept sharing. So that's when, after having something more consistent, I invited, by, again, Peter's suggestion, Vanessa, to join the discussion. She knows a proper understanding of collaborative. I don't know, Peter, you thumb me up if you can see my screen.
All good.
We're good. So we have a proposal template, okay, that we have created through this last 2 quarters with the ambassadors. Each one have their own, but they all come together from a template. Needs to create a proposal and go to present it to the community and then being approved. We just follow the same steps. And so I'm going to go through these items that will compose this proposal. Okay. Here we go. So, introduction. I'm going to try not to read what is on screen, but the main idea is to build upon what we have created with the LATEM community. LATEM community was a proposal funded by the community through founding round 3, and this is a natural result of it. Now we need core contributors. We need more people, more strength, more knowledge, more passion, more vision. So as we created a community, now we want to create a branch, a guild, a franchise within the ambassador community, the ambassador program, with the objective of expanding this powerful tool that is the ambassadors, these contributors, these members all around the world, to help to with the SNet vision and mission. We do this by using a lot of Eleanor Ostrom's a blueprint or great ideas that we came up with her work a long time ago, probably one of the best economic Nobel Prizes ever awarded, nevertheless less rewarded by the people. But now I think with decentralization, it comes the moment to get all these great ideas from the box and try to use them. The ambassadors use them all. They are a clear case of what Eleanor put together. So we just visualizing a stronger muscle within a language. But when I presented this to Vani, I shared with her the proposal. We discussed, hey, I like this G because this and that. And so she's great with words. She's here, Vani, how are you? And she's great communicating. And we were discussing about the rationale, why we put, I didn't thought about it. I thought, and I think, and I execute. It's like cooking, you know, I'm starving, let's cook. This brought the possibility of joining forces with Vani, and she put together a rationale that it was a little bit like this. I say, okay, Vani, this is your task. Why? the regional expansions. And she wrote the second item on the document that we will share on the chat. That we are not only here discussing language or linguistic issues. We are all communicating through English. Okay, it's the language of science. But there's other issues with culture. So we will try to acknowledge those issues and be able to level the discussion between members in different ways and aspects that bring more balance and output of these interactions. So this is still an experiment. We'll see what is the result. But we have some so onboarding data survey Q4 last year, Ubio for his multilingual proposal on R&D, she did a survey. All this data is showing us that we need to have cultural pools of cultural discussion, a little bit closer cultural discussion that then can bring a result to a wider discussion, having like a ambassadors within the ambassadors. Okay, this is stupid as it sounds. So with that said, and rationalizing why we are doing this, thank you, Vani, with that. We trace. So one other thing we talk with Pete, build small, build something, but make it small, and then we will, scale. And we put ourselves these long-term goals that are common and they repeat within all communities. Expansion, in this case, have a representation, regional, what give the relevance their need for education, with that will come skills for the members to help with the endeavor, and then keep building partnerships and collaboration. This is what we have been doing with the SNet LATAM community. So we will, bring that all the result of the research we already did to powerful the ambassadors, recipe. So we have an objective. Now we need a strategy. We have rules of engagement as the art of war, and now we need to think how, with the resources we have, how much we need, why, and all of those things are really important. So the idea is to copy the best, copy the things that brought results, because the ambassadors, as an experiment, there's a lot of road mapping and then pivoting and then getting it right, and that's what I most love. So now we have a use case to apply all the things that worked. Okay, so this will be a lab within a lab, and with a regional context. So when we were discussing, so this is good. This is good because we can try, and then also expand with the same resources. We don't need treasury. There is treasury. We don't need archival. There is archival. So what we need, I put some examples down there, so I'm going to keep going without reading. So the archival work group create a tool. It's fantastic. So what we need is not an archival work group to see how and figure out how we need to documentate our development. It's just a Spanish version of the tool. Okay, so and that will make it simple, and our resources will be implemented in different strategies or in different things that we start seeing as we build. The same case, we want to emulate. So Ines, part of the SNet LATAM, my partner in life, wife, mother of my son, France, works with Kenichi and the Writers Guild. There is a guild that really works really well, and they have an evaluation process that it brings a level the skills and evaluates your capabilities to deliver. Okay, so when I saw her go through this process, it's something we need to probably start doing in R&D. We're putting together the skills database that the intent is exactly to do that, but not to filter, but yes to evaluate, kind of rate capabilities, how people can help. So we can, okay, somebody's strength, okay, just push, okay. Somebody's it's petite, but it's good. Yeah, you find a place for this guy. So that will be the idea of evaluating. Try to use the experiments of governance. Now we're going through a sandbox governance work group. We will hopefully have a tool, but the governance that the community have put together, in my short experience, it's amazing. It brings balance, transversal, transparency, and so yeah, we will try to emulate all of those good things. So yeah, we'll see how we go. So the objectives, as I was saying, not to repeat or to create all the same guilds. So now we're going to focus on operations and strategy guild within the LATAM guild, with governance work group and an onboarding work group. With this, you can name these tasks, onboarding tasks, and we just call them work group to be able to organize them in folders. That's as simple as it sounds. And then we're going to try now to do something that is one of those cases of experimenting with what we have. Now we have on the global ambassador, we have marketing, we have writers, we have translators, we have marketing, we have all this task force that at some time we see they're running in different directions, okay? So when you do communication, when you establish a communication guild, and you create a strategy brief and a creative brief, then writers, video, all marketing, all this task force will work with a clear direction. So that's what we're going to try to do. Communication guild, and we're going to focus on, we'll be marketing, we'll be advertising the efforts of the ambassadors and inviting people to participate and to get onboarded. That's why it will link with onboarding and with education, give people information to be able to cross the door, as we have on the channel, in our channel, Get Started, for example. We will try to go a little bit deeper, and with this, we want to work with this. Yeah, we think we can do an evaluation process, because we already have been discussing this with the community, and there's all these people raising their hands. Okay, so it's like a training for a football game on Sunday. Whoever runs faster, whoever gets more results in training, it will play on Sunday. So that's the idea. We'll build small. Okay, we can let everybody come in. The boat will sink. Food will not be enough to cross the ocean, and all these things and analogies that I can go through. But so we have a core team today of 4. One is from Brazil, and one of the things that we want to do is to build this from the get-go with a Brazilian strong community engagement, because it's a big community, and we have Nunet there that is pretty already engaged with the community. So we will evaluate, and then get it effective and start working. But for that, yeah, we can do, how they call a draft in basketball. I don't know how it is in football in Netherlands, but I know we just win last time. But the thing is that, yeah, we will draft people, and then people we build upon for next time we will create ambassadors and then a core contributors. I don't know. We still don't know. That's part of the idea of this quarter for blueprinting. Yeah, that's just a little bit the same. onboarding and evaluation, and adjust this process. Probably we can template something that we can, as we inspire other regions to join, we can get something that it's easier to do. And then, yes, a stupid name. I'm from the 90s, so I listen to a lot of grunge music and a lot of Chili Peppers. So, and in LATAM we do spicy food. So we can, I think we're gonna. So the governance token, we have been with Gimbal tokens for the last years, and each time we go through, we need to get more and ask for more. And following again, bit suggestion. Okay, how do we award contributors? And all these aspects. Well, let's create this token we can use for governance and all of this. And then before going to the quarters budget, so yeah, I confused these two slides. Sorry for that. So onboarding evaluation is what I said with the wrong slide. Onboarding evaluation will be exactly that, drafting, getting the best players on Sunday. And this 7, the evaluation process of our results. Sorry, because I took the KPIs. It was a too long presentation. So what the result of the Swarm and Ambassador collaboration? It was like 5,000 contributions. I don't know how many tasks we did as a community. And that was for me the metric, the most amazing thing. We created, we threw to the trash, we pick up from the trash, we did it again, we did it better, we did so, and all of this, we can quantify that. And all these are metrics that we can work with. These are all data sets we need to use. Who did, how, when, why, yeah, I think that will be a great evaluation process for this small regional labs, as we have very concrete objectives. We're going to be able to identify and quantify this. And I hope we have a lot of guilds and work groups created and jump-started, and a lot of community members in the months to come, and to create a lot of contributions to the community. Yeah, that's it. And then here at the end, there is a link to the budget. And as we do in the ambassadors, we break down to hours and with task assigned. I'm going to throw this link on the chat and the proposal, so people can start figuring out how to. We use the word inspire other regions, but I like the way to provoke people to do. That's different. One thing is inspire, and the other thing is to provoke people to jumpstart it and get on doing things. So yeah, just find the word that have both of words. Those two. Let's not get into semantics, but that will do it. And so that was it, my friend. And another good thing to probably use this moment to mention. So the results we have put together with the LATAM community have brought another opportunity for us to help with SingularityNet's endeavors, and that's with deep funding LATAM town halls that starts this Wednesday. And I still have to share the content of that with the deep funding team here, Judith present, and Rafa, but we have been working on that. We have a nice strategy for onboarding, and we hope to have a lot of LATAM developers in this deep funding round 4. With that said, I think that's it on my side.
I just love it. It's to me, it's a great example of what's all building out on a very successful deep funding initiative. That's what got the ball started, and it's only rolling more and more. It seems like it's just great to see. Also expanding to deep funding tunnel. Super proud to see that happen. Also love the template. It's super thorough. I think other work groups will start using it as well, just by seeing it, there's almost no way you cannot use it. Yeah, it's just great to see. You're really focusing on not reinventing the wheel all the time, but I think you will also inspire a lot of other people to use what you are doing for other regions. There was some ongoing in the chat regarding Africa. Might be the next one, won't be the last one. Yeah, just amazing. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Peter, for the opportunity and for teaching us so much on how doing this. And yeah, hopefully we'll inspire a lot of regions to yeah, get on it. But thank you again, and thank you everybody for listening. Sorry for going too long.
No worries on that. Are there any questions in the room? Or comments or anything? Feel free to speak up.
I just share the proposal link over there.
I guess the only question I would have is are there requests from the community that you would like to make any requests to us?
From us?
Yeah, you just gave a big presentation. Like, do you want to request something from us?
Yeah, well, you know what? Everybody that wants to jump in the document and add value on it, I just opened the door to Vani, and she just did a great. Yeah, she added so much value. So Grace, there's the document. I just shared the link. So if you want to jump in, that'll be great. And also, if you have any feedback on the idea as you just heard it, what will be your first thing to say to us?
If I had feedback, I guess my feedback would be just to be. I think one of the things that we've been looking at a lot in our development of the blueprint is people knowing that they're members and knowing that they're onboarded. So creating levels and maybe badges and things so that each level people will know they're a part of something. I think that could be important just to make sure, like, and also I know that Tommy had been working on this education program, so it might be something like, if you finish this module of the program, you get this badge. And so creating educational things so that people feel a part of the program could be useful. So that's the one thing I would say, is because people want to feel that they're part of something, and if they're holding like, oh, here's my membership card, it just makes people feel better.
Yeah, great. That's great feedback. We are going to focus just in that, in education. And yeah, thank you for that, Chris. Love it.
Earlier, did see a hand, Jude Peter. Did you want to comment, or maybe not anymore? Sorry for putting you on the spot in that case. If you're with us still, Jude Peter.
Oh yeah, can you hear me now? Okay, sorry, I think my network was breaking up a bit there. So I was going to say very big thank you to Guillermo for an excellent presentation. I have been one who's been really inspired by the work that he's doing with the LATEM community, right? And then, of course, in the most recent times, we have been in close contact with respect to recreating the same impact that he's making in the LATAM community in Africa, especially, I mean, being that the blockchain adoption rate in Africa is getting really high. You know, in the region where I'm in, precisely Nigeria, we have the second highest blockchain adoption rate in the world at the moment, and the highest blockchain adoption rate in Africa at the moment. However, and so this poses a very great opportunity for, SNET, to penetrate into the African market, and especially looking at the fact that some of the problems that the African society most predominantly grapples with, is at the intersection of tech and humanity, artificial intelligence and humanity. In the meeting we had today, this afternoon, the not the governance meeting, the AI governance meeting, where we're talking about ethics and all of that. It was quite interesting to find that some of the things that we're speaking about, are things that are very native to the African society, right? But very few blockchain ecosystems have made advances into that society. So it's more like we have a really, really untapped market here. And I think the only ecosystem who's doing quite a fantastic job at harnessing the potential that we have in Africa would be Cardano, right? To the best of my knowledge, would be Cardano. I know a few blockchain ecosystems have tried to make an entrance here and there, but Cardano is doing a really phenomenal job, at penetrating the African market, and we have tech hubs rising in the numbers in cities like Lagos, right? In Rwanda, in South Africa, and I believe that this poses a very, very great opportunity for, the SingularityNet Foundation, to penetrate, especially because of the vision that we are propagating. That's the AGI and of course the ASI and all of that. So I wanted to say that we are among the people who have been greatly inspired by what Guillermo is doing, right? And then we've been trying to do a few things here and there. So of course, if there's anyone who's in the room who's interested in this project and who like to, lend a voice or a hand, whether you're of African descent or not, this would pose a really great opportunity for collaboration, right? And we could see how we could create African communities, right? And expand the SingularityNet ecosystem. So I just wanted to say that we have been greatly inspired by Guillermo. So thank you, Guillermo, for what you've done and what you're consistently doing. This is one feat that I believe would become more infectious, and by the day, more communities will get on board with this, right? So that's just about it. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for sharing. Love it. Well, clapping hands everywhere. Yeah, quick check on the room. Anything on the topic?
Hi, Peter. Hi, everybody. Thank you for having us here. Yeah, I don't need to screen share today. We did the presentation a couple of weeks ago, and everyone can watch the recording if they haven't seen it already. Today, it was a great pleasure, really, because Haley and I were able to host our first open call with the ambassadors on the Global Ethics Initiative, which is not the title that we hope it will have eventually. We're hoping to create some kind of other name that is more creative and more capturing of the grand idea. But in any case, we talked about the first steps on the project and a potential work group formation in the ambassador program to move the project forward. Anyone who hasn't been part of the conversations before and hasn't seen the recording from a couple of weeks ago, the short outline is that it's a project that aims to involve ordinary people in discussions about AI ethics and governance globally. So we're hoping to make sense of how people think about AI going forward, what they think about it, what they fear about it, how they would like it to move in the future, and what sorts of things they would like to see developed. We're also aiming to give people and maybe organizations ways to contribute or share resources on the AI goals that they feel are the most important, which could be things like time, it could be currency, it could be developer time, crypto, and whatever else we can think of. I'll post the document here again in the chat just in case anybody hasn't seen it.
It's already.
Oh, it's there. Okay. Oh, that's the work group ideation, though. This is the other document with the kind of project outline in it. So the second one that I posted, Haley's. Thank you, Haley, for posting the work group ideation document, which we're kind of collaborating on with the ambassadors. And then this one is the kind of roadmap, but it's a very loose roadmap because we're still allowing the project to kind of take shape fairly organically. And it's really a cross between an outreach project, a research project, and a funding project. And it's a bit different from, I understand that there are conversations happening with the marketing team and the ambassador program. So the marketing team in the foundation and the ambassador program. And just to clear up any sort of confusion, this is completely separate. And this is, rather than outreach for marketing, it's more like a kind of collective sense making on AI ethics and governance. So it's more specific in terms of its focus, but also more expansive because it's about listening and finding out and yeah, sense making about how people feel about AI. Like I said, the roadmap's tentative, so we're allowing a lot of flexibility in how things evolve and allowing new ideas to come in and out and everything. So very, very much in our early stages so far. In our call earlier, we had a really great discussion about how the global discussion about ethics might be sustained and how we might start that in the context of the ambassador program. We started to form, as Haley's posted here, the beginnings of a work group, and we plan to apply for a work group budget for this quarter, where we hope that the ambassadors will be able to kind of collaborate with us and even take the lead if they want to in moving this forward. If anyone else is interested in this project or is just hearing about it for the first time, then go ahead and read the initial outline document I shared and get in touch with us. And we have bi-weekly open sessions. So we had the first one today, and our next one will be in 2 weeks on Tuesday, the 7th of May at 3:30 p.m. UTC. And yeah, we're available now as well for any questions anybody might have. Otherwise, we'll see you then. Oh, thanks for the link, Grace, for the Society Library. That's super. I haven't heard of that before.
Yeah, I have a question about this because first of all, it's a great initiative and it makes a lot of sense to do this. And then the question is really about what your vision of governance is for this, and also what is your vision in terms of implementation and enforcement. Because it's one thing to have a lot of discussions. Like I said, the Society Library has really wonderful framework for helping people understand multiple aspects of a problem, and I would definitely recommend talking to them. I mean, they're a nonprofit, so for anything like this, like a co-budgeting for that, like co-raising of money for that would be probably really appropriate. And then the question is like, what about certificating or, you know, creating some sort of organization that would provide whatever it is, like safety certificates for AI or validation of the ethics of particular products, which is something that the ambassador program has talked about. So what are the thoughts in terms of like how will the governance work, and what is the thought in terms of like the actual implementation of this?
That's a really interesting point, actually. The certification is something that I've thought about before. And we're not really yet at the point where we're thinking about the implementation. In a sense, the governance aspect is about how people think the funding should be allocated and where it goes. So there's this sense mechanism, this sense-making mechanism, and then there's a sort of filtering and selection mechanism that is applied to the funding. So if people are giving, then people need to decide what we're going to do with that funding, and that's an interesting question about like how that happens, because you know, one model could be voting, but there could be other ways of doing it which are not so kind of cognitive labor intensive to do. I understand what you're asking is more of on a kind of global governance level. So the first stage, or at least one part of it, is what happens with the money. So like what, and that's very closely linked to the sense making that we're talking about. So what do people say that they want to see or what they need to be produced? So rather than a kind of like you know, that is a separate question from how do we globally govern AI. that's more like a kind of how do you apply that to other companies? How do you get people to comply? How do you get governments to take it on? How do you put that into law, kind of thing? So those are two separate questions, but they are both equally relevant to the project. So first, I don't even want to put a sequence on it. Which one are we going to do first? But I do think it is a really good idea to start thinking about how that collective sense making can be turned into policy and turned into policy papers, because effectively it is a gigantic research project as well. It's a massive evidence base for on which policy can be based. So that is an avenue for that, but I haven't started even thinking about how that might be put into practice. So if you have any thoughts on that, then I would be really interested to hear that.
I think there's two things that concern me about what you're saying. The first thing that concerns me is that this is a big research project. If you think about the speed at which AI and AGI are being developed, a research project starting now is highly problematic, because this stuff is going to eat us alive way before the research is going to catch up. An ethics project is much more interesting, and I think much more mission critical for the goal of benevolent AGI. If all that SingularityNet is doing is initiating some research, then the commitment to benevolence is brought into question. That's the first really big concern that I have. It's like, we're talking about it, maybe we'll do some research project, and meanwhile, our actions in the organization are full speed ahead. We're going to develop the tech as fast as possible. And the ethics project, that's like over there. It's a huge concern. And it's irresponsible, honestly.
I don't think that that's exactly the right. I don't think that's the right framing here, where Ben, Alexei, Sergey, Matt all have done quite a bit of their own research and development towards beneficial AGI in published papers on the topic. So that's SingularityNet's AGI approach. Now, getting that into a cohesive framework that's a cohesive vision that is very highly communicable externally and can be a guiding light beyond just what we share and have shared through research papers, but bringing that into the general awareness is a thing that we're working on as well. This project, on the other hand, it's important that it's not just our own developers who have decades of history and thinking in these lines and developing on these lines. This is the general human population should be concerned about, engaged on, and thinking about these topics for themselves, right? It shouldn't just be, I read about what Google's doing, I read about what OpenAI is doing, I read Elon Musk's thoughts about what OpenAI is doing, that I feel that, as a subsistence farmer in Vietnam, to use the example I used earlier, that I should be thinking about the topics of how AI and advancing technologies are used for myself. I should be reflecting on those topics and forming an opinion, and there should be a place for me to share and discuss and have that information taken into some sort of a global consciousness that can then be used to shape policy, to shape development frameworks, to shape what does human alignment look like. So this is a project to help, because we have so much history in this area, but we are a limited group. It's important to get the entire planet. Ben wants to make sure the entire planet is queried to the extent possible on what they feel are values and what does benefit constitute, both for collecting and having that information, but also so that people are prompted to reflect on these critical topics now, right? They need to be looking at this so that they can understand the future implications. So this is more towards a and then SingularityNet would like to have this conversation going so that we can also be in alignment with this global human base level of what is benefit, what are values. We want this resource ourselves, and we want this to be a resource that's available globally. So this is more the project that's about engaging. AI has finally come into the consciousness big enough that we can hold a thing like a BGI conference, right? It makes sense. People say, oh, AGI is coming, and we do need to think about it being beneficial now and not later. And then how can we engage the broadest swath of, the Amazonian tribes, the Mongolian nomads? How do we engage everybody on the planet in conversations on the future of technology so that we're all a part of how this shapes, and so that information is understood from the grassroots up? We have the technologies now to collect this sort of wisdom and bring it front and center to the whole world.
I think it's also important to note that research project is maybe not the best term to use, because when people hear it, they think, oh, you have to wait until the end, but you don't have to wait until the end. It's just another way of thinking about the data.
Yeah, I think that the way that was explained now sort of makes my concerns, it highlights my concerns. Like, we've developed this, we're going to continue to develop it, and we're going to collect people's information about it and see what they think, but we're going to keep developing it in parallel with just kind of surveying people, which is how corporations have always operated. The second thing I would say is a concern is the way that you answered about governance. If we start with the money first, then we're going to end up with perverse incentives. So it's going to be something like people will want to fund their own parts of the project so that they can get a salary from it, rather than we're really going to create a system in which we're actually gathering people's ethics. And when I was talking about governance, I don't think governance of money is very interesting, and everybody who knows me knows that I don't think that's interesting at all. It's very interesting to know what would happen if you found like a large group of people said, look, we never want this to be, we never want any AI on our phones, right? Like, what if and there certainly is a group of people who might say that, and that's governance. Like, do they have the right to have a different version of something on their phone that doesn't track them? That's governance, not like, where does the money go? The money it's like, governance is about the human rights that we're talking about. Do I have the right not to have my child taught by an AI mentor? I don't know. That's what I mean by governance. And it concerns me, and it continues to concern me, around how much SingularityNet seems to be interested in developing stuff fast, it's like move fast and break things, rather than, oh, we're literally changing people's minds. We're literally infecting people's brains with this stuff. And we'll find out later how it goes. Like,
and that's exactly right.
I'm personally very concerned.
Yeah, there's huge questions here, and this is, partially the governance question is hard for Esther and I, in that we don't want to become the decision makers for forming the governance and how this should look, right? We want to make sure that it's a decentralized initiative, exactly for those reasons, because we want it to be impartial, we want it to be sampling, we want to hear from the people that don't want to have AI here or there, or, in these parts of their lives, or we want to hear from these perspectives in particular, and understand how we can, not we as in SingularityNet, we as in humanity, how humanity can incorporate these ideas and these desires, and have this global commons discussion about how we should proceed with these technologies that are very disruptive, and not being, they're being implemented upon us instead of being thought out, and bubbling up from just what everybody wants. So exactly, the governance needs to be something that bubbles out of a community that's passionate on these topics, and with great intention, and holding a shape of benefit, inclusiveness, and listening to humanity.
Looking at the clock, we are over time already. That went really quickly. Any further thoughts in the room on this? Yeah, Fanny, as you comment in the chat, it's so important to really hear people. That was one of the main, well, at least for me personally, one of the main takeaways earlier today during that session.
I think also that that chasm between sense making and hearing people and actually acting on it is an important one to bear in mind. So that is a point well taken, that you know, quite often, for example, in governments will commission a research project and then they just will do the exact opposite, or they just won't listen because it doesn't suit their needs. So I think that I would be very sensitive to not letting that happen, because we've all seen it before, and what's the point of creating something that's going to recreate that? I mean, I understand your point also, Grace, about voting with money or governing with money not being that interesting, but I also think that the project has the potential to put resources where they are needed, even you know, including projects where people are trying to opt out, or where they want the technologies in their area, in their geographical region, or non-geographical sphere to be produced in a certain way. So, for example, there would be nothing stopping somebody from creating a proposal or a request, in fact, for a kind of tool that, using one of your examples, would keep teenage girls safe on their phones. So it's that sort of power that people are should be able to have through the project that we're trying to initiate here. Yeah, and like Vanu's saying in the chat, it's important to go slowly and allow time to identify where the resources are actually needed and listen to how they need to be implemented, and not make assumptions also about how they need to be implemented, because quite often people run with an idea and think, oh, this is great, and then stop listening. In any case, in 2 weeks' time, we have another open session, and I hope people will attend that, and we can start moving forward, and you will see our application for work group budget within the week. Thank you for having us.
You're most welcome. Yeah, just for a bit of reference, I shared it's not that old yet, blog post of some months ago about accelerationist versus decelerationist. It's interesting. It's different perspectives, but that's definitely yeah, that's just how it is. I see Elizabeth introducing herself. Mind if I put you on the spot a little bit so you can say hello to the group? Thanks for joining us.
Hi, everyone. Sorry I was late. Another meeting abutted this one, but glad to put some faces to names and voices to names. I'm working with the Supervisory Council on the blueprint. I do have 2 cats with me at the moment, so apologies. There we go. Yeah, so it's shaping up nicely. It's great to see a project like this where people really want to be thoughtful and intentional about how they decentralize. And just glad to be here and working with you. Thanks.
And one of the things that we just haven't said in public in a loud way or something is that Nick just had so many other obligations that he wasn't able to put enough time into the blueprint. And that's why we brought in Elizabeth, really. So she's actually filling in as the lead writer at this point. for obvious reasons, we didn't want to like be very public that just wasn't moving fast enough. And Elizabeth has been moving it very fast since she's come on board. So thank you.
Great. Thanks for that. Let's have a quick check on the room if there's any topics, any small, short topics at that we should touch on during this session. Or any random thoughts you want to share with the group, feel free to. All yours, Grace.
So I have a random thought, hopefully short topic. I've been really excited and positive about the ambassadors taking the initiative to make requests and proposals to the marketing department. I think this is a really huge step. It's one of the things that it doesn't look like a direct outcome from the blueprint writing in the supervisory council, but I do know that some of it is inspired by some of the stuff that we've talked about in these and some of the stuff that we've written. And it's really encouraging to see that starting to happen, that there's more alignment among the different organizations and that there's more communication. And the other thing that I think it really signifies is the ambassador program maturing to a level where they can say, hey, not just you're giving us a budget and we're going to work with it, but we're going to make requests beyond that original budget, and we're going to take the initiative to show what our value is. And so the first thing I want to say is that's really great. The thing that I want to warn you guys about is that there's been proposal on the table about where the money will go. So if someone makes a proposal to the marketing department, would they get that money individually, or would the ambassador program get that money? And I just want to give you guys the trajectory of those two things. If somebody gets the money individually, basically you've caused more centralization. That is, the foundation has direct control of that person now, and that person is no longer beholden to the ambassadors, but to the foundation. So you're creating, and not only that, it's causing a situation where people want to move out of the ambassador program into the centralized entity. So it's causing a directionality towards centralization, towards control of the foundation. Whereas if you say, this is great, but the ambassadors are going to, are going to take care of that bucket of money, then you're creating a directionality towards decentralization, expanding the ambassador's budget, expanding the autonomy of the ambassadors, and also expanding the responsibility of the ambassadors, because then the ambassadors have to say, we're going to level up. We're going to have to really deliver what the foundation wants. Like, no kidding, we're going to deliver. And if the people in the ambassador program aren't living up to that standards, we're going to make a decision around Ostrom's principles. Like, we're not like a centralized organization. We're not going to say you're fired. We're going to say, how do we train you? How do we, as a group, take responsibility for that? How do we, as a group, make sure that people have the resources they need to deliver on time? And so that you're creating a more humane and a more decentralized thing if the money goes to the ambassador pot. So I just wanted to warn you guys, if you allow individuals to receive direct grants, basically those people are quitting the ambassador program and working for the foundation. If you let the foundation give you the money as the ambassadors to steward that process, you are increasing your own power as a decentralized organization. And so I just wanted you guys to be really clear about those choices that have been offered to you and what it would mean for the program itself. That's all.
Yeah, fair. Thanks for that. I would say, in my mind, for sure it should use the treasury. If the ambassador program treasury system, if only to just capture the contributions on chain. On giving the budget to a work group and then stewarding it by the work group, I wouldn't be against it. I don't think that's the current vision of the foundation.
I understand. There's a subtleness about this thing, like, is it the foundation, because this is also happening in deep funding, like, is the foundation interested in taking the cream of the crop from deep funding and putting them in the foundation? is the foundation taking the cream of the crop from the ambassador program and putting in the foundation? It's not bad, it's just directionality of centralization. It's not directionality of decentral. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I kind of get where you're coming from. At the same time, the foundation has a long time history of hiring from the community. So in that sense, I wouldn't argue for putting a stop to that, because that's, in my mind, a great strategy. I do see where you're coming from, like the cherry picking part, and that would be something I'm not in favor of at all. Talking from both foundation and ambassador program side, but yeah, passion wise, a bit more from ambassador program. It's a fair worry. Yeah. Are you okay, Duke? You are not muted. Just saying.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
All right. Anybody some thoughts on that?
I don't know if this is the thought on that directly, but it sounds like it might be sort of similar. You have a merger. I don't know how this merger is going to work compared to most other mergers that take place in either financial markets or industrialized businesses. But when mergers take place, generally people are let go, or people are taken from one group over to another group, something similar to what Grace was implying. And I'm just wondering if you want to, if somebody is thinking about that, or if it might be happening. That's just sort of what I'm just throwing it out there.
Thank you. Anybody else? Feel free to. We're here. All right. Yeah, I do think that's more or less a wrap then for now. I will make sure to capture the chat as well for and then share the chat on Discord. See a whole bunch of links flying there. Well,
one other quick share. Just, I know that there's been a request for us as the supervisory council to share our budget and our outgoings, and we will do that we will share only with the community and only by request, like not as a big public announcement. And we're working on doing that. I believe in transparency, and we will be sharing that information with the community.
All right. Yeah, I just can't agree with what you're putting in chat on.
I'm saying it as best talent. Like, you don't see me in a lot of communities. And the reason is I can't be bothered. Like, I'm saying it about me. Like, I would love to be hired by central organizations and never have to bother going to a vote. Like, I know that's how I feel about it. Like, I'm not, like, the best talent loves that situation. At least I do. I want to share with the community. It's like we're going to publish our budget and you'll see why it is like I don't want to get everybody's permission.
Okay. Yeah, well, what can I say? Yeah. It was the plan all along that these budgets would be public, so yeah. All right. Let's add one final check. I do see conversations going on and going on and going on, and we can keep the session going forever, I feel like, but I do think it's time to wrap. All right. Thanks all for being here and sharing your thoughts and time, mostly being here. Awesome. Hope to see you on one of the many upcoming community calls this week. and if not, next week.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you for hosting. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Peter. Thanks, everyone.